What baking supplies do I always have on hand? Come on in, welcome to my home. I get asked this question all the time and I'm not sure why. People are always curious about what baking supplies I have on hand all the time. And they're not necessarily always baking supplies, but they're things that I use in my kitchen all the time. So let's get started. My first one is flour. I love King Arthur flour. You'll notice that down below in the description there is a link to my Amazon affiliate which has the King Arthur flour that I use all the time, and I use this for everything simply because I don't like going out and buying cake flour and bread flour. This is a universal flour. Use it for so many different things. I love this flour for what it all does, the texture, the quality of it. It is just wonderful. So I always make sure that I have enough to bake with. Raw sugar. I always make sure that I have enough raw sugar for any occasion. I do not use brown sugar that often, and I don't use white sugar that often unless I have to. It is a conscious choice. Is it necessarily the best choice? I don't know. Sugar is basically sugar, but this is less processed. I like it for its flavor. Now, there are a couple things to remember with raw sugar. If you are doing something that does not take heat, raw sugar doesn't just easily dissolve in water. That you want to have like white sugar that will dissolve in water easily, brown sugar, but raw sugar will not. It will take some heat. But I love the taste of raw sugar. I love just about everything about raw sugar. So always make sure that I have raw sugar on hand. Now, you know I am a nut for my black chocolate powder. I use this in place of regular cocoa powder or regular powdered chocolate simply because it tastes really good. Now, if you are going to substitute the black cocoa powder for something for regular, you want to use half the amount. That's really important. Otherwise, you'll just overpower it. I love it. It's a very strong flavor. It just tastes so good and everything. And I have so many different recipes that I use this for, especially my mocha syrup. Love my mocha syrup. And I use it all the time in that. So I always make sure that I have some black cocoa powder. Stevia. This is a great substitute for sugar. On stevia, I've found that on its own, I do not care for just the plain stevia flavor. I do like it mixed in with sugar. It does really well, and for me, I use about a tablespoon of stevia, of the powdered stevia, to replace 1 cup of sugar, but I make sure that I mix the two. I just love everything about this. It's so good and so easy to use, and I use it all the time. Once again, my mocha syrup comes to mind. If you've been watching, I have been using my oats quite a bit. These are steel cut oats, and as you can see, I put them in this kind of container because I use them all the time. I'm making oat milk. Hit that eye in the sky to learn how to make oat milk. I'm making that all the time simply because I love the taste of oat milk. I love it in my smoothies. This is so good. But I always make sure that I have some oat milk. You can better believe I have sea salt. Sea salt is just one of those things where it has a very strong salty flavor without using a ton of salt. Does this make a whole lot of difference? You could probably use the same, you could probably use, more salt and have just regular salt, just use a little bit more of it and have that same saltiness to it. But I do love this. Now, once again, this is one of those things where if you are not going to heat up your item and you want to put salt in something, you want to use more like a table salt or a fine salt. But sea salt, I think, just gives this wonderful flavor. There are all sorts of different sea salts. I have a pink sea salt, but I don't always keep it on hand. But this is one of the items that I always have. Vanilla. I always have vanilla on hand simply because, well, you use vanilla in just about everything these days. And I make my own vanilla. As you can see, this vanilla just started, so it is pretty light in color. But it's just something which you can make yourself. Keep it going, and it's just so good. Love this, and love making my own vanilla. Hit that eye in the sky, I'll teach you how to make vanilla. But it is always one of those things that I definitely have on hand. As you can see, this is honey. This I have on hand all the time because I use honey as another sugar kind of thing. Sometimes I'll use maple syrup, sometimes I'll use honey, depending upon what I'm making, but I always make sure that I have either honey or maple syrup to flavor things, simply because it's just so good. Now, like I said, if you check the description, it will show you the brands that I use and the affiliate links to my Amazon site, but these are the things that I have on hand all the time, simply because this is what I use all the time. Are there other things that I use? Yeah, you've seen them appear in the videos, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I will have those things on hand. You notice that what's not in there are things like eggs, butter, milk, but yes, I do have milk and eggs and butter always on hand, but I think everybody does. The other things which I have, I don't know if you would actually have necessarily on hand exactly. But that's what I have. Let me know what you have on hand, and I hope I get to see you again next time. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You can share it. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos on this channel. I love making these videos for you, and I hope I get to see you again next time.